Right, so this is angle relationships level 2. So I haven't made this out in a worksheet because it's quite tricky to do. So what I expect here is that for each problem, you're going to pause the video, you're going to attempt it, and then you can look at the video to check your answer. Okay, so we're going to go through a series of these. So let's have a look. Okay, so this one here you have an angle, and which is, well, first of all, if you look at the angle MNO, which I'm going to highlight here in red really quickly, MNO, that angle, because of the mark in the corner, is a 90-degree angle, the whole lot. Okay, which means that the angle MNP, which is this one here, plus the angle PNO together, okay, those two angles are complementary because when you put them together, they make the 90 degrees. So we can write that down. Okay, so this is what there's a very structured way to do these problems. So the first thing you can do is you can write down that, let me see, I'll do it down here in black. So the answer I'm going to do in black. So you need to write down that the angle MNP plus the angle PNO is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, because when you put those two together, you get a right angle. So I'm going to switch on to the next slide here. Just wait a second. Okay, so if you write it out like this, and then we already know that MNP is 41 degrees plus this PNO. Now look, we've talked a lot about needing to organize our work, okay? A lot of people are just going to write down what the answer is immediately. But this is communicating your work neatly, okay? This is organizing your work the way that people are going to expect in the future. So, if you look at this, 41 degrees plus something equals 90. Well then, from here we can see that the angle PNO has to be 49 degrees. Alright? So the answer is 49 degrees. And that's the way the work should be laid out. So the two angles together equal 90. One of them is 41, so the other must be 49. Okay? Let's have a look at another one. Okay, this one. So we have Q, R, S, and T. Okay, so we have two smaller angles, which is this one and this one here, and together they make up the big one. Now, if you look at QRS, that's a straight line, okay, which is 180 degrees. So that means that QRT and TRS, if you look at those two angles, when those two angles are put together, they make up the straight line for us. So those two angles together add up to 180 degrees. So what have we got here? So we know that QRT, actually I'm just spotting a mistake that I need to change really quickly. This here should say SRT, sorry. This is the angle SRT is 112. So let's have a look. So we know then that QRT, I do it in blue, the answer, the measure of QRT plus the measure of TRS. So when the two sides of those two angles are added together, it gives you 180. Okay, they're supplementary. Now, the angle QRT we don't know. The angle TRS or SRT, as I've called it earlier, we do know. Remember that SRT and TRS are the same. So we know that the measure of QRT plus 112 degrees is equal to 180. Okay? So then QRT must be 68. Because you add 68 to 112, you get 180. So that means the measure of the angle QRT is 68 degrees. And that's what the question asked you for. Okay, this one. So we have something slightly more complicated. We have LMNOP. We know that LMN is 144. So LMN is the whole thing. So from L to M to N. So that whole angle there is 144. LMO, which is this one here, is 88. So I'm going to mark that in red. LMO is 88. We have to find the measure of OMN, which is this piece. Okay? So if we look at it, right, we do this in black, we know that the angle LMO, look at LMO, you can see it, plus the angle OMN, they make up the whole thing LMN, which is 144 degrees. Okay? Now we know that LMO is 88 degrees, so that means that OMN is whatever's left. Okay? So the measure of the angle OMN is equal to 56 degrees. And it's as simple as that. Look at this one here. So you have NOP, which I just highlighted there, 76 degrees. We have LON, which is this one. And we have POQ, which is this one. And they're both the same. Now, if you look at those three angles together, what do they make? So you have this plus this plus this. They make half a circle, but they also make a straight line. They make this straight line, which means it's 180 degrees. Okay? So, to answer it, you're going to say that LON plus NOP plus POQ, those three angles put together gives you 180 degrees. Now, we also know that NOP is equal to 76. Okay, so that means that LON plus POQ must equal to 104. Why are they equal to 104? Well, this one here is 76. So the two that are left must make up 104 if we're going to have a total of 180. Now, if you look back at the question tells you that this LON and POQ are the same. Okay? And they add up to 104. So that means it's 104 divided by 2, which is 52. Okay? So that means that LON is equal to 52 degrees and POQ is equal to 52 degrees. We're finished. Okay? Pretty straightforward, I think. Right, let's have a look at one more. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. So we have this big thing here. We're told that the measure of the angle BAE is 100, which is the whole thing. Okay? Measure of the angle BAC, which I'll highlight here really quickly. BAC, that angle there, 28 degrees. The angle CAD, which is this, and the angle DAE, D to A to E, which is that, are both the same. So the question is then to find the measure of CAD and the measure of DAE. Okay? So let's have a look. So, firstly, we know that the measure of the angle BAE plus, sorry, let's go back here a second. The measure of the angle BAC plus the measure of the angle CAD plus the measure of DAE. Okay, so those three angles together give you 100 degrees. Okay, so the way that this is written out is very important. So that's equal to 100. We know that BAC is 28. So 28 degrees plus the measure of the angle CAD plus the measure of the angle DAE is 100. Now, so because of that then, this 28, okay, well, that means that we have the measure of CAD plus the measure of DAE equals 72. Why? Because 28 plus these two is 100, so that means that these two must add up to 72. And we're told in the question that the two of them are the same, which means, I'll just write it down just to terminate the whole thing really quickly, move all these up. So because of that, then the measure of the angle CAD equals 36 degrees, and also the measure of the angle DAE is 36 degrees. Okay, and we're done with that. So that's level 2. That's what level 2 looks like. It's pretty straightforward.